Guys, imagine this. Your daughter disappears when she's 9 years old. No body, no ransom note, no suspect. Just gone. Swallowed by a desert sandstorm in a foreign country while you stood 20 feet away. 8 years pass. You rebuild your life the best you can. You move back home. You try to be present for your other kids. You try not to think about her every single day. You mostly fail. And then one morning, the phone rings. And the voice on the other end tells you they found her. That should be the best phone call of your life. That should be the moment everything gets better. But in Lee Cronin's The Mummy, the 2026 horror film produced by James Wan and Jason Blum, that phone call is where the nightmare truly begins. This is the full story. Let's get into it. The film actually begins long before any of that. In Aswan, Egypt, we meet a family coming home to their farm. Father, mother, and 3 kids, including the youngest, a girl named Layla. Everything seems normal until Layla goes to feed her pet bird and finds it dead, its cage covered in dark blood.
Mama!
The mother, Mila, sees this, and something shifts in her face. Not surprise, recognition.
يا ولاد خليكوا هنا.
Because this family isn't just a family, they're guardians, keepers of a secret that has been passed down through their bloodline for generations. Behind their farmhouse, half buried in the desert sand, is a small black pyramid. And inside that pyramid is a sarcophagus. Ancient, strange, covered in markings that predate even the hieroglyphs most people know. Inside the sarcophagus is a mummy. And the dead bird means the mummy is waking up. Mila and her husband Gamal open the sarcophagus to check. What they see inside confirms their worst fear. The entity that has been contained inside for 3,000 years is stirring. And Gamal pays for that moment of curiosity with his life. The mummy rises and kills him, leaving Mila a widow, her children fatherless, and the responsibility of keeping this ancient evil contained entirely on her shoulders. This is the backstory the film gives us early on, and it's important, because it tells us that what's about to happen to one American family isn't random. It was planned, deliberately, by someone desperate enough to use an innocent child to keep an ancient monster imprisoned. Now we meet the family this story is really about. Charlie Cannon is an American journalist living in Cairo with his wife Larissa, their son Bastien, and their 9-year-old daughter Katy. Larissa is heavily pregnant with their 3rd child. Life is busy, a little chaotic, but genuinely happy. Katy is special, sharp, curious, and obsessed with Morse code. She practices it constantly, tapping out messages on any surface she can find. Her little brother Bastien teases her about it, but Charlie encourages it. He sees himself in her, the same intensity, the same love of cracking puzzles. One afternoon, Katy is playing in the garden near their apartment. A woman appears at the fence, pale, quiet, clearly not well. But Katy seems to know her. She asks where Layla is. This woman is Mila. She has been watching Katy for a long time. She gives Katy chocolate. She's been giving her chocolate for a while now, apparently. Because when Charlie later goes through Katy's room, he finds wrapper after wrapper stuffed into her toys. Bastien tells him that Katy has had a mysterious friend who meets her in the garden. Charlie goes looking for Katy, but Mila is already several steps ahead. She lures Katy to a quiet spot, produces an apple from her garden, and speaks an ancient incantation. A flesh-eating insect emerges from the apple and enters Katy's body through her mouth, and Katy collapses. By the time Charlie fights his way through the sandstorm that suddenly rolls in, The worst timing possible, or perhaps not timing at all. Katy is gone. Just like that. 9 years old, vanished into the desert air. 8 years. Charlie and Larissa filed every report, followed every lead, spent years in Cairo being questioned, suspected, pitied, and eventually ignored. The local police commander, a man named Juhei, actually suspected Charlie of staging Katy's disappearance for compensation money. The accusation nearly destroyed him. Eventually, with no resolution in sight, they made the painful decision to come back to America. New Mexico, a fresh start, or as close to one as they could manage. Larissa has set up Katy's room exactly as it would have been. She can't bring herself to close the door on the possibility that her daughter might come home. Their youngest, Maudie, born from that heavily pregnant belly we saw in Cairo, is now 8 years old and has never met her oldest sister. Bastien is a teenager, quiet and withdrawn in the way that kids who survive trauma often become. And Charlie carries his guilt the way you carry a stone in your chest. Always there, always heavy, shaping everything around it. Larissa's mother Carmen has come to visit, and she gently suggests the family needs to actually live again. Take a trip, do something together. And Charlie, watching his family be brave every single day, agrees. They're on their way to a vacation spot when Charlie's phone rings. An Egyptian number. The voice on the other end identifies itself as an official from the Cairo embassy. They found a girl. In a sarcophagus that fell from a crashed domestic flight in the eastern desert. A girl with a Western face. A girl matching Katy's description. The family flies back to Cairo immediately. A detective named Dahlia, the same officer who initially handled Katy's disappearance case 8 years ago, now promoted and still quietly carrying the guilt of never solving it, meets them at the hospital and warns them to prepare themselves before going in. Katy has been in isolation from sunlight for years. She's severely malnourished. She hasn't spoken a single word since being found. And the wounds on her body, the doctors explain carefully, were self-inflicted during episodes of extreme distress. But physically, her vitals are normal. Better than normal, actually, which is something the doctors find unusual but don't yet know how to explain. Dahlia pulls Charlie aside and shares what she knows. Katy was found inside an ancient sarcophagus being transported by black market couriers. Where they were taking it and who hired them is still unknown. She suspects human trafficking, but something about the circumstances doesn't fit the usual pattern, and she's going to keep digging. Charlie takes Katy home to New Mexico, and that's when things start to go wrong. Quietly at first, then very, very fast.
I know what it is, you bitch. She just needs our...
I'm in.
The first night home, Katy disappears from her room. Charlie and Larissa find her in the kitchen, eating a scorpion. Not panicking, not in pain, just eating it, the way a person might eat a snack they found in the pantry. That image alone would be enough to send most people over the edge. But what comes next is worse. The vomit Katy produces is corrosive. It eats through the hardwood floor. Charlie discovers this the next morning when he finds a section of flooring that looks like it was hit with acid. Then there's her skin. Charlie notices it while helping Larissa clean Katy's wounds. The skin on her lower legs has text on it. Not tattoos, not bruises. Text, inscribed into the layers of skin itself, running deeper the further down you go. Like someone wrapped her in something that became part of her. Charlie photographs it and takes it to an archaeology professor at a local university, a man named Professor Bixler. The professor takes one look at the photographs and goes pale. He tells Charlie that the script is hieratic, an ancient Egyptian writing system that predates even the hieroglyphs most people recognize. We're talking 3,000 years before Christ, older than almost anything in the established historical record. He needs a few days to translate it, but he warns Charlie, whatever this is, it isn't medical. And Charlie needs to be careful. That night, Charlie sits beside Katy in the dark, watching her sleep, and he notices something. Her teeth. She's grinding them, but not randomly. There's a rhythm to it. Morse code. Charlie grabs his book and starts translating, one tap at a time. And the message Katy is spelling out, painstakingly, in the only communication she can manage, is a name. Layla. Charlie calls Dahlia immediately. He tells her about the name, Layla. Someone Katy is trying to communicate about. Someone who clearly matters. Dahlia runs the name, but it's frustratingly common in Egypt. She needs more. Charlie tears through boxes of old belongings from their Cairo years, until he finds it. An old letter, addressed from someone named Layla Khalil. With a last name to work with, Dahlia's team narrows it down. There's a Layla Khalil connected to a property in Aswan, a farm with an orchard, unusually green, sitting in the middle of the desert. Orchards don't survive in the middle of the Aswan desert without a very specific reason. Dahlia drives to Aswan alone. She finds the farm. She finds the house. She finds the half-buried pyramid behind it, and the empty space inside where a sarcophagus used to sit. She's just connected the location to the sarcophagus found on the crashed plane, the one Katy was inside, when Mila comes home. There's a chase. Dahlia is fast, but Mila has the advantage of knowing every inch of this land. But before things go completely wrong, someone intervenes. A teenage girl who leads Dahlia to a buried box. Inside the box is a VHS tape. The girl's name she confirms in a whisper. She can barely speak, and Dahlia soon understands why. Is Layla. And her tongue has been cut out. Mila cut out her own daughter's tongue to keep her silent. Dahlia takes the tape and takes Layla in for questioning. Meanwhile, back in New Mexico, things are accelerating. Katy has started to affect Maudie, the youngest, who has been watching her strange older sister with a mixture of fear and fascination, begins to behave oddly. At Carmen, the grandmother, becomes a target. The entity inside Katy is testing its boundaries, pushing outward, looking for weaknesses in the family around. Professor Bixler finishes his translation and calls Charlie. The texts inscribed into Katy's skin are containment spells. Ancient ones, 3,000 years old, designed specifically to imprison an entity called Nazmaranian. An entity that the ancient Egyptians, 2,000 years into trying to deal with it, eventually managed to trap inside a human host, a slave, and seal inside a cursed pyramid. Nazmaranian is not a ghost, not a demon in the conventional horror movie sense. It's something older and more specific. An entity that can manipulate anything and anyone around it according to its will. It doesn't just possess, it thinks, it strategizes, it waits. The containment spells work by being written directly into the layers of skin of the host body. As long as the spells remain intact, the entity stays bound. But if they're removed, peeled away, one layer at a time, Nazmaranian gets free. And the only thing that removes the spells, apparently, is someone who doesn't know what they're doing. Someone who can be manipulated. Someone like Bastion, who has been quietly, unknowingly, pulling at the edges of Katy's skin every time he's tried to comfort his sister. Nazmaranian has been steering him toward this the entire time. Charlie races home, but he's already too late to stop what's in motion. Dahlia arrives from Egypt. She flew in herself, couldn't reach Charlie by phone. and brings the VHS tape. They watch it together, and finally the whole picture becomes clear. Mila recorded herself explaining everything. She speaks directly to the camera, the way someone does when they know they might not survive, but need the information to survive without them. Her family has been guardians of Nazmaranian for generations. Every few decades, the host body degrades. Skin, organs, the physical vessel can only hold for so long. When it does, the entity needs a new host, and the ritual of transferring it, the mummification process, requires someone to become the new vessel willingly, through the use of specific ancient incantations. Katy was the 82nd host. Mila chose her because Katy was a child. Young, small, her body would hold longer. And she chose her because the friendship between Katy and Layla gave her access. She used her own daughter's friendship as the weapon. After the transfer was complete, Mila planned to transport the sarcophagus with Katy inside to another country. She felt her own children could no longer continue the guardianship, so the plan was to move the problem somewhere else. But the plane went down, and everything changed. Now, in this house in New Mexico, the ancient containment is failing. Nazmaranian is almost fully free, and the family is running out of time. The entity fully emerges. Katy's body, or what's left of Katy inside it, is no longer in control. Nazmaranian walks through the house in Katy's skin, moving wrong, speaking in a voice that doesn't belong to any living person. It says, almost conversationally, that this body is too small, uncomfortable. It needs something bigger.
You used to play chase with...
Charlie makes a decision. He asks Dahlia to transfer it into him, to perform whatever version of the ritual is needed, to pull the entity out of Katy and put it into his body instead. He's bigger, he's an adult, and if someone has to carry this thing, if the choice is Katy's body or his, there's no choice at all. Dahlia doesn't want to do it. She doesn't know if it'll work. She doesn't know what it will cost Charlie. Charlie looks at his daughter and tells her to do it anyway. The transfer works. Katy collapses, herself again, exhausted and traumatized, but free.
I'm sorry.
The three kids are safe. Bastian is himself. Maudie snaps back to normal. And Charlie is now the vessel for an ancient entity that has been imprisoned in human bodies for 3,000 years. Larissa watches her husband become something she doesn't recognize, and she cannot accept it. She cannot watch Charlie become the next in an 82-person line of sacrificed hosts, while Mila, the woman who started all of this, who weaponized a child's friendship to steal Larissa's daughter, is still alive in a hospital bed in Cairo, recovering from a gunshot wound. So Larissa makes her own decision. She disguises herself as a nurse. She travels to Mila's hospital room, and she performs the ritual herself, transferring Nazmaranian from Charlie's body into Mila's. The woman who created this chain of suffering becomes its 83rd link. She will carry Nazmaranian until she dies, and when she dies, she will be sealed inside a sarcophagus, just like every host before her. The Guardian becomes the imprisoned. And that, guys, is Lee Cronin's The Mummy. What makes this film work, when it works, is that it's really not about a mummy at all. It's about what parents do when their children are in danger. Charlie gives up his body without hesitating. Larissa commits an act of cold, deliberate revenge because she refuses to let her family carry one more second of suffering caused by someone else's choices. And then there's Mila, who spent her whole life maintaining a guardianship she didn't choose, who sacrificed her own daughter's voice to protect a secret, and who ends the film as the thing she spent her entire life containing. Lee Cronin, the director who gave us Evil Dead Rise, brings the same unflinching commitment to practical horror here. This is not a film that's going to hold your hand. It's grimy and unsettling and occasionally genuinely shocking in the way that the best horror films are. Is it perfect? No. But it is exactly what it sets out to be. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe and drop a comment. Which moment in this film got to you the most? For me, it's Charlie's decision. The no hesitation of it. A father who does the math in 1 second and steps forward. That's it for today, guys. See you in the next one.